Hello all and welcome to your next video. This one is AITA. I know this has been done a lot, but I have a crap ton of extra files of it and this is how we're using them. So, onto our first post by Jan Arso. It all started on New Year's when I, male 28, returned to my girlfriend, female 28's place abroad. My sister-in-law 22, let's call her Jessica, and my brother fetched me from the airport to reveal that they got engaged and were planning to marry in September. Despite having mixed feelings since Jessica has a history of causing trouble, I congratulated them. The news came coincidentally right when I was preparing to propose to my girlfriend I'd be flying back to shortly after. We had been entertaining the idea of getting married for a while at that point, especially since the 2.5 years of forced separation during COVID had been a nightmare. None of us wanted to repeat, considering our different nationalities. Getting married was necessary to get a visa to live together, especially since our future plans depended on it. I proposed in late March and we started researching how long everything would take. The answer: long. Our choice was simple: get married soon, best before September even. Only on paper, no big ceremony/party until we live together. Knowing that Jessica is very emotional, I expected it would cause stress. So I sat them down, explained the situation, telling them I really hoped that they would understand. While my brother nodded in approval, Jessica remained silent. That was until she got home and wrote me a huge text about how they, meaning herself, a reoccurring theme, would feel like something was being stolen from them if they weren't marrying first, and that we'd have to delay our plans till after September. I didn't tell my fiance about this right away to spare her the stress, but I needed to process what happened, so I talked to my mom, who gathered us together in an attempt to settle the dispute. Jessica stormed out of the room crying that day. My brother then nicely asked us to leave, knowing that she'd stay in her room. Fast forward 6 weeks, I had moved on from the incident and was ready to forget when Jessica wrote me another long text, breaking her silence and calling me rude and a mama's little boy, saying I needed to give her special treatment because of her childhood trauma and that I hurt her, indirectly threatening a long family feud if I wouldn't apologize and delay the wedding. Because it wasn't the first time she pressured me to get what she wanted, and I made my point, I didn't reply, trying to talk to my brother instead, which took another week because Jessica wouldn't let him. I then told him that I wasn't going to change my plans, that I found her message absurd, and that she most certainly wasn't getting an apology. Over the next 2 months, Jessica would send a text every 1 to 2 weeks, getting more aggressive, blocking me despite literally saying nothing, then unblocking me to write more, texting my mom and my fiance about me. The latter doesn't even have contact with Jessica, sending my bro a messenger to put more even pressure on me. I eventually had enough and blocked her for good. Alright, so this is going to be the new part where I give my rating and share some thoughts during the story. Well, my thoughts while I was reading the story and all that. So, first of all, I'm going to start with my rating, which is 0 out of 10. Not at all the butthole, didn't do anything wrong. But it seems like the sister-in-law is just really rude. Man, like, not getting what you want, it's kind of like grew up with parents that never said no, if you know what I mean. Alright, on to our next story. I, 25 female, met Dave, 26 male, in college. We dated, everything was great. We got engaged and moved in together. Within 10 months, I realized he had a serious issue with masturbation, laziness, and some other stuff. Sue, 25 female, has been my friend for years and was supposed to be my maid of honor. She was upset about the breakup, but one day called and said Dave asked her out. This was a few months after the breakup. I'm not a gatekeeper. I just said, Sue, he's not a good guy. You're like a sister to me. And I wouldn't want my sister involved in the same situation I got out of. I added some situations. I said, hey, I'm not perfect either, but the relationship was far from balanced and was so toxic. The ring or apartment didn't help. She's a grown woman, and I told her to do what she wanted, but seriously, she said she understood. The next week, they started dating. I just removed myself. I had blocked my ex, and she saw he sent me a message on socials, but blocked and deleted all of it. Now, a year and a half later, side note, I caught my ex trying to mess with my birth control once, which made my sex drive/trust just fall. It was a big domino in our breakup. He wants kids, yet can't bring himself to shower more than once in 3 days. Ew. She called me crying. They are now engaged with the ring I gave back to him. She is pregnant. She is at the end of her line. He doesn't want to help with the house and pays little on bills. He told her, his pregnant girlfriend, to go donate blood if she was so worried about money. I let her cry for about an hour, how he's lazy and refuses to do his work, his negative attitude, and how he's sexting bots online, but how it isn't cheating since it's AI. How lazy and crappy he is. She even retold stories that I told her of what he did to me. I felt numb to listen to it and just thanked God it wasn't me. This was what I was afraid of. This is why I left him. At the end, I just mustered, Sue, I told you this would happen when you started dating. Not like a sneery jab, just an emotional, honest one. She hung up. She hasn't tried to contact me since. AITA for getting to tell my BFF how my ex was when they started dating and being unsympathetic at the same things I told her are coming true. So, I have a couple thoughts on this one, and we're going to start here. Really quickly. For OP, 0 out of 10. For the friend, Sue, since the other person doesn't care, I'll give 0 out of 10. She doesn't deserve to be with a terrible guy, but she knew what she was getting into. Boyfriend, giant red flags if your friend's saying, hey, this happened when I was dating him. But the fact that she's pregnant, he isn't stepping up at all is kind of concerning. So, yeah, he gets 5 out of 10 buttholes, 10 out of 10 save for the worst. I, 29 female, and my late husband, 29 male, have been together for 8 years. Married for 3. He passed away while I was 5 months pregnant with our twins. I gave birth to a boy and a girl. They both spent a short amount of time in ICU before being discharged home. Before the passing of my husband, we had discussed baby names, and he said that if we had a girl, he'd love to call her Shauna. At first, I wasn't so sure, but now he's gone, I love the name. My son has his father's eyes, so I named him after his dad, Jake. I decided to give Shauna the middle name Ann after my mother and Jace Jr., the middle name Luke after his grandfather on his dad's side. When it came to the choosing of godparents, I chose my husband's brother and my sister to be Shauna's godparents, and my husband's sister and his best friend to be Jace Jr.'s godparent. His sister Emma and I have never gotten along too well. Not that we had a fight or anything, but we never really spoke. And when we did, Emma would always find a way to pay me or my mother a passive-aggressive compliment. I still decided to make her godmother of my son because of the loss of her youngest brother, but when I told her, she wasn't excited. In fact, she was disappointed. She said that she wanted me to name my daughter after her instead. I explained how Jace picked the name. She wouldn't let it go. She asked about the middle name, and I let her know that I gave her the middle name Anne after my mother. She muttered something about my mother under her breath, then she held Jake, who was wearing a "Will you be my fairy godmother" one piece. I handed her the flowers that I had bought her. She didn't say thanks or have anything in return. The anything in return part didn't really bother me though. But after seeing the way she half threw Jace Jr., who was 3 weeks old, onto the couch, I decided to leave. I told her I had a family emergency and thanked her for her time and left. I am now considering my childhood best friend, Saba, to be Jace Jr.'s godmother instead. She was with me throughout the grief of losing the father of my children and the love of my life. She definitely deserves it more, but I was just trying to include my husband's family. They haven't been christened yet, so I can change the grandmother. AITA if I do this. Okay, so our first rating. OP gets a butthole schooler of 0 out of 10 completely. No questions about that. Emma gets a score of 7 out of 10 for throwing a baby straight up. That one's not changed. And then for her being rude, we're tacking on another 2, so that makes it 9 out of 10 for her. Everyone else gets a 0 out of 0 on this story. Who throws a 3-week-old baby? Am I crazy or is that not something you do? Are these people just they learning new things? On to our next post. My younger brother Derek had some trauma in his childhood, and I regret not being able to protect him. He swiftly got into drugs and fathered a son named Zane with his girlfriend Dawn. They both got into drugs, and Zane was taken away and given to me when he was 3. Derek and Dawn couldn't stay sober or out of trouble despite genuine efforts by me and the court for the last 6 years. The court was going to terminate their parental right, which Derek supported since Zane thrived under my care. Then my brother was killed in a car accident over the summer that devastated everyone. He had problems but wasn't a bad person. I vowed to do everything to protect Zane. Dawn all of a sudden wanted to be Mother of the Year and got some visitation. I found out that she signed Zane up for the Big Brother program. She told them that she didn't want Zane to grow up without a male figure. I promptly called them up and said I'm Zane's uncle and I've been raising him for the last 6 years and have custody of him. He's not doing your program. Dawn was livid when they turned her away because technically she wasn't a legal guardian. She said she was trying to do the right thing by helping Zane grieve my brother. She wanted a guy who could do the same things with Zane as my brother. I told Zane he doesn't need a replacement because I'm his dad and you're nothing but a part-time babysitter who isn't even allowed to pick him up from school. Like, I'm open to doing things if it's in Zane's interest, but you're a loser. Your butt is lucky I didn't move out of the state and far away from you. Absolutely, Zane is devastated that his dad died even though he didn't see much of him. It's up to me how that's addressed. So, here's what I'm gonna... OP, not at all the butthole. Not at all. Dawn, though, doesn't seem great at all in here. She gets a 5 out of 10. Hello all, welcome to the time at the end of the video that I add, so that way you don't have end cards over your screen. Thank you for watching and enjoying this video. Do the regular YouTube things, and howdy. And just remember, snakes can predict earthquakes.